So ladies and gentlemen, the wait is over. The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC trailer has dropped for Elden Ring, and we have a lot to discuss. Today, we're going to unpack all of the things that you may have missed, or talk about some interesting tidbits and points that will help illustrate what's going on in this expansion pack. And this is a very interesting DLC. We've been waiting a long time for this, so I'm very excited to get into it. Let's start with what's going on in the opening shot. Prior to this trailer, there was a lot of debate about how we're going to access the DLC, because accessing DLC content in Dark Souls can sometimes be a very convoluted process and maybe can take you out of your way to go do a couple things before you can get into it. However, the opening shot shows us in Mohgwyn Palace and looking at the Arm of Miquella, and if that just seemed like a coincidence or not clear enough, at the end of the trailer, a voice who appears to be Ranni is telling us to touch the arm and access this Shadow Realm, and so that takes us to where this DLC is going to be taking place, which you can tell by the tree itself, the sky, the actual rest of the environment, that this is a realm that is incredibly twisted outside of the grace of the Erdtree and is very different to where we were before. And as far as scale, we don't know for sure, but I feel it's comparable to the main section of the Lands Between. Now, we have this shot right here of a Tarnished looking at this golden thing, and I can't quite tell what this is. However, it's possible I think that this might be a Great Rune. Right here we see this fire, like giant metal basket boss, looks absolutely insane, and it appears to be in relatively the same location as where this Great Rune appears. If it's not a Great Rune, I'm not entirely sure what else it could be, but it looks like a pretty massive object, and that's my best guess for now. And I would assume that it comes out of this boss potentially. Okay, one sec, real quick before we continue, I do want to thank today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Royal Match. Royal Match is a free-to-play 3-puzzle game that is made for relaxation and escaping. I bet you're fed up with getting ads on your games all of the time, and Royal Match is ad-free. That means no interruptions. That's pretty good. It's one of the most relaxing and enjoyable puzzle games that you can just unwind and play. It's highly engaging, there's tons of levels and things to do so that you'll never get bored. Make sure to download Royal Match for free today using the link in the description. It's quick and easy to do, and thank you very much to Royal Match for sponsoring this video. We then get a clip of what appears to be a dead maiden somewhere. It's hard to say for sure where this may be located. Any best guesses I would love to hear. But we do have a shot of what appears to be a lot of the jars from the village, and they're all just like strung up in this dungeon. This looks like maybe in just incredibly twisted outcome of maybe what happened to their world or to their village, as this is a corrupted realm after all. This looks like the most bleak version of that. Something interesting is it looks like there's a bunch of new spells and incantations. Obviously, there's a bunch that are showcased in this trailer. In particular, this giant bear roar, like this looks absolutely insane. Not sure exactly what the function of this is going to be, but I will get to more incantations in just a second because there's a really cool one that I wanted forever that I cannot believe they've done, but we'll get to that in a moment. I also want to talk about this little painting on the wall. And this shot appears to portray what is possibly Godwyn and Queen Marika. That's what it looks like to me, and I would also assume this implies that there is a Godwyn boss fight and possibly even a Queen Marika one as well. The Godwyn fight is almost confirmed. We have this shot right here of what appears to be the exact same person. This looks like the opening cutscene of that fight where he's like removing a weapon from his skull. Looks absolutely crazy. I would like to point out that this skybox looks very different to everything else we've seen. It almost appears to be Ranni's moon, and I don't know if that is going to play into some of the endings somehow or anything like that, but it looks very different aesthetically to basically every other shot in the trailer. It's certainly one of a kind. And then next we see another boss that is strange. It's almost like this Cerberus looking beast, but it has similar feet to like Morgott, and I don't know if this is possibly a corrupted version of him, possibly a creature or someone related to Morgott's line. Either way, the aesthetics are very similar, and I'm going to assume there's some kind of connection there. A lot of what's in Shadow of the Erdtree seems to be these like unholy combinations of creatures, so I would assume that maybe a corrupted Morgott is a lot more feasible, because we also see this creature that almost looks like an Orphan of Kaz equivalent, right? It's got like almost the same placenta looking weapon. It throws a part of its body around, but it's like the skeleton of a horse is like partially detached from it. This creature looks insane. I don't know if this is an actual main boss or a mini boss. Hard to say for sure. Right here, there's a big hippo. I mean, I don't have any further analysis. I just like him. He's a big hippo. We get to see a handful of new weapons and also spells that will be present, and I think a lot of the new weapons, specifically from bosses, are going to be a lot of fun, and I think we'll get some cool stuff out of there. Now, I really want to talk about this boss right here, because they make a big deal out of him, so much so that he's on the cover and he's in the pre-order bonus. And at first, my initial impression is I thought this was like Radagon. It looked like him for a second there with the hair and everything. They actually look very similar, to be honest, and the red hair threw me off, and I thought maybe this was a corrupted version of him. But it appears that this is somebody entirely different, but maybe still related. However, his name, according to the pre-order bonus, is Messmer the Impaler. Now, a few really interesting things to note is that we can see from his little opening cutscene here that he takes advantage of Blood Flame Blade magic. That seems to be his thing. And then I was looking at his moveset and realizing, hey, hold on a second, this looks familiar. And it's right in the name, Messmer the Impaler. I was going to say that it reminds me a lot of the Impaler boss from Demon's Souls. They actually have those similar movesets, these big sweeping sword swings with the blood on them, the impaling sword move as well, and it even looks like he has the Destined Death move from Malekith's blade, but obviously it's probably a little bit different with Blood Flame magic, but it has like a similar animation and everything, so I bet it's probably the same. And then another thing I want to wrap back around to as far as incantations and spells and movesets and everything, we can see in this shot that the player uses the Crucible Knight's wings. This was an ability in the game that was sadly not present, as you can copy most bosses' abilities and stuff. This was unfortunately one of them that was just never in the game, and people made mods so that you could do it, but this is an official one, and this is going to go absolutely crazy with my Sephiroth cosplay, so I'm happy about that. But this is the literal one move that I was hoping would actually be implemented into the game, and they've done it. I can't believe you've done it, lads. Y'all have absolutely cooked. Good for you. And then near the very end of the trailer, we do get to see Miquella himself, and it's a very short little teaser here, only a couple of seconds. We don't even get like a full-on shot of what he looks like. This is obviously setting up the main boss of this DLC. It's of course going to be Miquella, and the thing is, out of all of these other bosses we've seen in the trailer so far, that I don't believe is even scratching the surface. I'm not sure that they're able to convey the scale of this expansion quite to the same degree that it might be capable of. I think they might be underselling it. It's probably a lot bigger than it's even looking in the trailer. They don't want to give everything away in this small little 3-minute thing. So there's going to be plenty more bosses, plenty more mini bosses we haven't seen, and I feel this is quite only scratching the surface. I guarantee as well there's going to be a handful of more side quest and NPC fights. We can see a few of them even featured in this trailer, and that all culminating into probably what is a similar experience to the base game of Elden Ring. I don't think it's going to be quite as big as the main game, but people are saying it's going to be about half as big or so, and that's what we're working off right now. The actual DLC is going to be dropping on the 21st of June. Hard to say if there's going to be any more info or trailers that come out in the meantime. Until then, it's not too far away, and that's very exciting to me. If there's anything else interesting that you noticed in the trailer that you would like to point out, please definitely let me know in the comments so that I can see them and other people can read them as well, and let me know what you think about it down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.